want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Hit me with it. Just give it to me straight.
Welcome back to the Last Row Podcast. My name is Drew, and as always, I am joined by my friend and life partner, Badway.
Hello.
How you doing?
Great.
I want to welcome all new listeners. For those that don't know, this is the podcast where we watch movies that might not have been loved by the critics, find their silver linings, and fill in the blanks that the movie writers might have left out. This week, we didn't watch a movie, but we had some great emails since we started doing this whole podcast thing, and we wanted to do a small mailbag show to thank everybody for writing in, give some insight into who we are and why we're doing this show. Stick around at the end of the show. We're going to be announcing some Oscar categories for lifetime achievements that were left on the cutting room floor due to time constraints. We have the exclusive nominees and winners in a couple of very prestigious categories.
Very honored to have this distinction here, so stay tuned.
Before we get started, let's tell you how you can keep in touch with us. You can find us on our website at thelastrowpodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at thelastrowpod. Hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/thelastRowPod. We're also on Google+. Leave us some comments on the SoundCloud player. And lastly, if you haven't done so already, head on out to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review if you like the show. We just had a few people that we wanted to just thank you personally for writing in. The first one was V Tinkerbell86. She says, I'm assuming it's a she. Maybe it's a guy. Sorry if it is.
You don't want to judge.
I don't want. Sorry, Tinkerbell just assumed it was a girl. But she says, she or he says, I listen to these guys even if I haven't seen the movie. That's how much I enjoy them. Keep it up, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tinker.
And I'm glad because, that means we're doing something right.
I'm glad that he likes the show.
He or she.
Yeah.
I don't want to assume, but I'm assuming it's a girl. And then someone named Jimmy Jimmy.
Is that a girl?
Which I'm assuming is from South Park, one of a great show.
Jimmy.
Who he says, actually really good.
Wait.
Actually really good.
Actually really good?
Yeah. Yes.
Isn't that like a backhanded compliment?
No, I take it very positively.
It's like, I was going to play this podcast assuming it was going to suck. And you know what? It was actually pretty good.
I'm glad, though. I'm glad we could surprise you, Jimmy. He says the two hosts are pretty funny and seem like nice guys, covering all the crappy movies, but appreciating them in a genuine and intelligent way without being ironic or hipster. Check it out.
It's the last thing we want to do is be hipster.
I really appreciate you guys writing in. Thank you so much for leaving us some iTunes reviews. If you haven't done so and you're thinking about doing it, please drop us a review. It helps us so much. And I want to thank everyone that's going to do it in the future, too, because we know you are.
So we're going to answer some mailbag questions, the story of our lives. Rotten Tomatoes, 1,000%.
1,000%. Metacritic, 1 million.
IMDb, 11 out of 10. Directed by Drew Badway. So yeah, it's basically a get-to-know-your-host kind of show. You listen to these jabronis every week. You might want to know where we came from. What are we doing? What do we like? What do we hate? Without further ado, Drew, what do we got?
So I'm just going to read the questions, and we'll probably just take some time and just have a little discussion in between. Hopefully you don't hit stop in the middle of it.
You're fired from the podcast if you hit stop. We will unsubscribe you. I don't know how, but we'll find a way.
The first question that comes through, it comes from Megan from Albany. She says, I'm assuming it's a she.
Better be.
It better be.
She sounds hot.
Hey guys, really enjoy the show. Even though I haven't watched a lot of the movies that you've done so far, I still listen anyway. Kind of sounds like the review here. Sounds like you've had a lot of fun doing it, and it comes across in the show. What made you guys start a podcast? I'll let you start that.
She hasn't seen Bloodsport? Megan, you haven't seen Bloodsport?
Come on, Megan, get on it.
Come on. So why did we start this podcast? Because we wanted to? Next question.
Man.
No, just kidding.
You're bringing the heat today.
Just kidding. Well, we started, it's funny because we decided we want to do a podcast like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we just...
Maybe even more.
Yeah, we always talked about it, but it never happened.
Yeah.
And we've always watched movies. We've always talked about movies. We met back in 11th, 12th grade, high school. We said we've been a part of the movie business, with our former jobs, veterans of the movie business, the movie industry. And we're just watching movies, just talking about the dumbest stuff that has nothing to do with the plot. And we're like, you know what? Let's turn this into a podcast.
Yeah.
And that's basically 4 years later, we finally decided we got the equipment. Drew actually pulled the trigger, bought some microphones and said, let's do this thing.
Had a lot of help from a very good friend of ours named Ty. He's been on the show before, so I want to give a shout out to him. Thank you for helping us get started. But it's been fun, and I'm glad that people are listening to it. I didn't think we would get more than 5 downloads.
Yeah.
Maybe max total.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that people are enjoying it, and we really appreciate everybody listening. So hopefully you enjoy the future. Next question comes to you from Jimmy. No location. I'm gonna assume that Jimmy comes from Tallahassee, Florida. That's the place I'm gonna make up for him.
He sounds like a Floridian.
I'm channeling my inner Dave Richard from the CBS Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm just gonna name random locations. So anyway, Jimmy says, "Fellas, love the movie selection so far. How do you choose your movies? A lot of them seem to be good/bad movies. Would you ever consider doing good/good movies?" I'm not sure what Jimmy means by that. I'm gonna assume like Oscar winners.
Get it. I totally get it. I totally get
like
it.
Oscar winners.
Yeah, something like world-renowned movies that everybody loves. We could twist the plots on them. And certainly that's something we could do in the future, no doubt about it. But how do we choose our movies? We try to walk the fine line between movie that was poorly reviewed, but maybe it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Movies we certainly enjoy. We have this rule where we won't do the movie unless we enjoy it, or at least enjoyed it in the past. Maybe on second review. Like I think we had a differing takes on Kindergarten Cop when we watched that for a second time. Much enjoyable the first go around, and then 20 years later.
I think one of the examples that we like to give too is we made this spreadsheet when we first started this podcast with Rotten Tomatoes scores, IMDb scores, and try to come up with something that was towards the bottom. Yeah. And when we first started it, I remember adding movies like Battlefield Earth. Yeah. And as we went through it, we're like, man, I just don't want to watch this movie.
The Happening.
Like, I don't want to sit through The Happening again, because we do rewatch every movie before we do this. So if we've seen it 100 times, we rewatch Ghostbusters 2. I've seen that movie a million times, but we rewatched it again because we want to be fresh.
See, that goes right back into good movies. Good/bad.
Yeah.
Those are bad/bad movies. Battlefield Earth, The Happening, Lady in the Water, stuff like that. We're not going to watch those movies because they're not going to be redeemable
unless everybody writes in. If we get like 1,000 emails that say, "Hey, please watch Lady in the Water," I guess we'll watch it. Yeah. But it's going to take a lot of people requesting that to do it.
Well, to piggyback off this question, let's just go off on the tangent here. Let me put you on the spot here. What kind of movies do you enjoy, Drew? What's your genre of choice?
I generally like everything, okay? I mean...
Come on, that's a cop-out.
I know that's a cop-out. Like, I really enjoy superhero movies. I'm a huge Batman fan. You could look around. I mean, you can't see this room right now, but there's tons of toys everywhere. I'm a big geek. I like Batman. I like Ghostbusters. I like Departed, crime dramas. I mean, I like Gladiator. We were just watching that upstairs. I like movies like that, dramas. I'll watch generally anything.
If it doesn't have to be your favorite movie tomorrow, but if I had to ask you right now, give me your favorite movie of right now at 6:00 on a Sunday.
Oh my God.
February 22nd, 2015.
Man, this is a tough question. I mean, I could give you one of my favorite movies. It's
just the first thing that
Dark
pops
Knight.
into your head.
I love The Dark Knight. I love Heath Ledger, love the Joker, as we joked about last time. I just love Christian Bale. Think he's a great actor. I mean, it's not the best movie ever. Yeah. But to me, it's one of the most enjoyable movies I've ever seen. How about you? What's yours?
You said it. You railed it off of one of your lists, crime drama. Yeah. That's kind of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Departed's, I would say, I just watched The Departed again for like the 6th time the other day.
It's phenomenal.
It's one of my favorite movies. I love any kind of crime drama. African-American crime dramas. Give me Juice.
What about Baby Boy? Is that one Tyrese?
Baby Boy with Tyrese? Are you serious right now? Of course.
I know that's an underrated favorite of yours.
Yeah, I love black movies. I mean,
I got to quote you on one thing, though, that you said to me in the past, because we used to joke about, what Bad Boy would watch and what he wouldn't watch. Yeah. And I remember he famously said, I don't like if it's not in the present. I don't like if it's in space. I don't like if it's in medieval times.
I don't like space movies.
I don't like space movies. I don't like, not like, what did you say? I like movies set today.
Yeah, I like movies set in today or the recent past.
And since then, I've made him watch Game of Thrones, which is not a movie show. It's a TV show, but I made him watch Game of Thrones.
That's kind of my going into that. Like that's like I creak the door open
begrudgingly.
It's plus boobs,
He will not watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I've never seen Lord of the Rings. Don't put me in space and don't put me in the past. Don't put me I like where I am right now. So yeah, anything with Omar Epps, I'm all in. Sam Jackson.
What's your favorite movie? Could you name one? Is it Departed?
As of right now, no. I'll say Inglourious Bastards today.
Okay, that's a great movie. Yeah. You're a big Tarantino fan too.
I'm a big Tarantino fan. I'll say Inglourious Bastards. I was blown away when I saw it in the theater, and upon multiple reviews, still up top to me.
And I know that we've talked about Oscars. So we will be talking about Oscar snubs later in the show.
Yeah, that's certainly one of them.
That's certainly one for you, as we talked about Tarantino.
We'll get into the years of those types of movies.
I've got a question for you though. If you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life. Now, this brings up an interesting point.
It's not favorite.
It's not your favorite movie. It's what's the most watchable movie you've ever seen. If you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life,
I will tell you, I feel like the movie I've seen the most ever, it's close because it might be Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's a really strange movie. It's called Blue Streak
I know that movie.
with Martin Lawrence and Tim Robbins.
It's like HBO from like the late 90s.
Yeah, it's
early
always
2000s.
on HBO.
Yeah.
We had HBO when I was a kid. I was very fortunate to have HBO in my house all the way up through until I moved out, and then we got an apartment together. We had HBO. I've seen that movie probably 20 times, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's not that it's even that great. It's just very rewatchable. It's very, very enjoyable. But if I had to guess, it would probably be Ghostbusters 1. It's got to be 100 at least.
I think I would pick that because I probably have seen it over 100 times.
I mean, it's part of the reasons why we're doing this podcast. Why we've been friends for so long. We have the same taste in movies for the most part. And Ghostbusters is like the link that holds us. Like it's the rock solid connection.
It's what we bonded over. We became friends.
It's the foundation to which this friendship is built upon. Let's get into some actors now.
All right.
Give me your all-time favorite actor, A, and B, your man crush.
Oh my God.
What dude can't you live without?
There's a lot of guys that I can't live without, okay?
Yeah.
Starting with one, and
I know who he is.
This is a man crush. Christian Bale is always going to be one of my top favorite guys.
So dreamy.
It started when you showed me American Psycho.
Yep.
Before he was cast as Batman, I remember sitting in my parents' basement, right?
Which was the spot.
I know that's a joke, but we were hung out in my parents' basement, watch movies all the time. My dad hooked up the surround sound. It was a good spot to watch movies.
It was the spot. Yeah.
Rent them from your former place of work if we weren't at the theater.
He had like the, what was it? Was it a 42?
It was a pretty big TV, which
CRT,
at the time was pretty big.
CRT.
I think it was like 32.
In the wooden panel.
The big, weighed 450 pounds. It took 6 guys to carry it down the stairs.
I don't think it's got to still be there. I don't know if
it
it
is still there.
It's
It's
got to
not
still
coming
be
out.
there. Yeah.
They're going to need to take that thing apart
Yeah.
before they take it out.
Yeah.
But Bale's definitely one. I remember the first time you told me about American Psycho, you're like, hey, this guy's going to be Batman. Because I had never seen the movie before, and you introduced me to that. Not a movie actor, but a TV actor. Stephen Amell from Arrow.
Really?
Love that dude.
Yeah, you do love that
That
dude.
dude's awesome.
You love that
And if
dude.
you're not watching that show, you should watch it immediately. It's very good.
Yeah. Drew gets on me every single week about watching Arrow and Flash and the Arrow Flash world. And I'm like,
Listen,
I'll watch it next week.
I want everybody that watches that show, that listens to our show, to tweet at Badway. His Twitter handle is at HeyBadway. I want you to tweet him and tell him to watch that show and tell him what he's missing out.
And the rest of you that have never seen the show before, don't listen to Drew. Don't watch the show because I haven't seen it. I'm sure it sucks.
I know we have Jeremy, friend of the podcast, very friend of our life. He loves that show. We watch it together a lot. Friend who listeners, Paul, he watches it a lot too. Great show. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Make Badway watch it.
Sounds like a Batman ripoff.
Who's your favorite actor though?
Favorite actor? I'll give you my man crush.
All right, man crush.
And I like the older guys. All right.
All right, you're into older men. The silver hair
Yeah.
guys, silverbacks.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
I'm gonna go Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And it's very recent. I mean, I didn't start with True Detective, but
Yeah.
that's where he started to get
because
back
he
on
went
the roll
just
again.
out there.
Gotta love me some Matthew McConaughey and Magic Mike.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not gonna say I was in it for the male stripping, but I will say I was in it for the acting and for the just the overall enjoyment of the movie. McConaughey is a big part of that as well.
Can I say that I really enjoyed that movie?
Yeah. I mean,
Does that make us weird for saying that?
As a heterosexual man that's very comfortable in my sexuality, I can say that Magic Mike was a very fun movie to watch.
I actually really enjoyed that movie.
I'm gonna admit that. I'm putting it all out there.
I don't want to circle back here, but one of my other favorite actors, okay, it's a comedic actor.
Yeah.
And I would have watched anything that this guy was in. I love Ben Stiller. I think he's hilarious. I've been watching Meet the Parents has been on HBO, and if you're like me, every time it's on, you're going to stop and watch it.
Yeah.
I've even fired up HBO Go to watch it, even though I've just seen it. That movie is criminally underrated.
Yeah.
The second one overshadows it because it came out more recently, but that movie is hilarious.
Right.
My favorite part is the Speedo. That's my favorite part. It's just so funny.
And as far as favorite actor goes, I mean, I dare you to find a bad movie that Leo DiCaprio has made.
That's very true.
You know, some people rag on Leo for no reason at all. I just saw. I rewatched Wolf of Wall Street yesterday
Great freaking
during the
movie.
snowstorm.
Great movie.
3 hours. I've seen it before. Like, there's no reason to watch a 3 hour movie twice in your life.
Especially Scorsese.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie takes the cake.
Oh, yeah.
Leo was great in it. Leo was also great in Django Unchained as the
still haven't
racist
seen
slave
that.
master. Like, he is so good, it was uncomfortable of how good of a racist he was in that movie.
Yeah.
So
he's an excellent actor. Yeah. And it took me a long time to appreciate his talents. But yeah, I agree with you. So I know we're still on the second question from the mailbag, but I want to ask you
the
some
mailbag can
questions.
wait. Let's keep going.
But I want to ask you another question, okay?
Yeah.
Because this question from Jimmy brought up a whole bunch of questions for us, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, because we talked about this before, but we've talked about Sidekicks. I know we had some people write in about Sidekicks.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies ever. Like, it's
so
such
good.
an underrated movie. And thinking about that movie brings up the question for you that I have is, name a movie from your childhood that you would bet that 99% of people wouldn't know about, but you know about, and every time you come on, you watch it.
Right. See, first of all, let me talk about Sidekicks for a quick second. It's not even about the Chuck Norris thing, because Chuck Norris is a thing we all know. It's played out.
It was before that.
It was before all that. And it's not even about Chuck Norris. It's about Barry, and it's about the story. Please go to your local video store and buy it on VHS.
I don't
if you
even
can
think
find it.
No, it's fully streaming on YouTube.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and watch Sidekicks. Stream it. Get your cast on. Get yourself some Sidekicks. You won't be disappointed.
You should watch that movie. It's before Chuck Norris became a thing. It's so good.
There was I was on Facebook the other day, and your brother posted a scene from this movie called The Paper Brigade.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like that movie, like, I didn't know anyone else knew about this movie.
The old Disney ones.
Now, the kid that played that, he was in a couple of movies in that time frame in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
He was like this tweener kids movie type of actor. I remember this other movie. It was called House Arrest.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, House
You're
Arrest.
bringing me back.
Yeah, with Jamie Lee Curtis and I think maybe Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. He's
was it
probably
Tom
in it.
Arnold? I don't remember.
I remember the name, though.
Yeah.
I remember it vividly.
Yeah, I don't think it was Tom Arnold. I think it was Kevin Pollak, actually. That's who
Probably.
it was. That's what. Yeah, but anyway, it's where all the parents all the kids trap their parents in the basement of this house to try to like stop them from getting divorces.
Yes.
Because they're all getting divorces or whatever. So and then the kids basically run amok. It's a totally shitty movie, but that's a movie where I feel like nobody knows.
It's fun, though.
It's like nobody remembers. It was a bad movie, but it was enjoyable to watch as a kid.
You know what's another one? Camp Nowhere.
Camp Nowhere.
That's a good one
Nice.
with Mud. And I'm pretty sure Doc Brown is in that movie, too.
That's not the Daniel Stern one, though, right?
No, that's Bushwhacked.
That's Bushwhacked.
That's
All right.
another great
I get them
movie.
mixed up all the time.
Bushwhacked is really
Yeah.
good, too. If you haven't watched that, you should.
Another one starring Tom Arnold and Rick Moranis, Big Bully, which gets
Great movie.
lambasted. Love that movie.
Listen, I was on a plane one time, and that movie was on, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is the first time I've ever seen it. What an entertaining movie.
So it's these movies that kind of shape our love for doing this, which is why we're sitting here today. Of these movies that there's pretty much good in almost every movie that you can find. And one more thing, I feel like one of the first movies I saw in the theater, like I remember specifically, I've said this before, Ghostbusters 2 was the first movie I saw in the theater. I remember watching this movie called Bingo.
Bingo. I don't know that
It's a movie about a dog, and he doesn't really have special. It's not Air Bud.
Okay.
He like for some way or another, he's like a very special dog, and he somehow finds a way to like lead people to solve a crime or like thwart criminals. It's this kid's dog, and I remember at the end of the movie, he's like in this burning warehouse, and he saves the day somehow, but yet they make it look like he died.
The dog?
The dog, yes, he died in a heroic act. But it turns out that he didn't die. It was like a fake out.
Oh,
and I was
man.
crying in the movie theater because I thought he died.
The old Philly fake out. They got you.
So I feel like no one's in that movie. I feel like there's nobody of any name that's in that
It's not
movie.
redeemable.
I just remember the movie Bingo, and it really left an impression on me because I was very sad about it.
I got another
Anything
one
for you?
Yeah, and I don't want to drag this on for too long, but I got another one. Has anyone seen Heavyweights? I know it's probably right.
Yeah.
It's Ben Stiller, and that's White Goodman before White Goodman was White.
It was the
Goodman,
basis for White Goodman,
Tony
yeah.
Perkis, the Perkis
Yeah.
system. That's hilarious. And there's another one, kind of like the Paper Brigade. It was on the Disney Channel back in the day. It was called Brink.
I don't think I saw that one.
It's like a roller skating movie, like a
Oh,
rollerblading
yeah.
one, where the kid joins the team.
That's right.
And then our good friend Andrew, he has another one. It's a movie called Airborne. That's just a fun movie. I'm pretty sure Jack Black's
in that,
But
yeah.
what isn't Jack Black in the 90s? He's in
Jack
everything.
Black's in the cable guy, and you're like, what is Jack
He's
Black?
in everything.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. But anyway, I digress, and I'm dragging on. So we'll move on to the next question here. Next question comes from listener Will. Will doesn't give us a location, so I'm just going to look to you to...
Tuscaloosa.
All right, that's good enough.
Yeah.
So Will says, "Hey guys, I really enjoy the show. On a previous episode, you both mentioned that you worked in the film industry, in quotes.
Ooh, film industry.
I don't know. That sounds a little dubious. I myself worked at a movie theater chain, and I hated it. Was yours a soul-sucking hellhole like my experience?"
Damn, Will.
Will, I'm sorry that you had a terrible experience.
Well, if it's Will from Pennsylvania, then maybe, I've seen a few Wills where they treat it like it's the worst job in the world, and they make you feel bad for asking them simple questions like, can I get butter on my popcorn?
Yeah.
Right.
Extra butter.
Well, I don't know, Drew. How long did you work at your fine establishment there?
I worked there through high school all the way through college.
Your
right?
magical movie theater
The
experience.
place that was very royal.
Yeah.
Without naming names. But I worked there, and it was fun. It was a fun, like, summer job, but I'd be lying if I said that some days weren't hell,
Well, that's with every job, though, but it didn't suck your soul. I mean, you liked it, right? For the most part.
It was
as far
fun.
as part-time jobs go.
All my friends work there, except for you. You worked at another place,
Yes.
which we'll get to in a second, I guess.
Yeah.
We should talk about yours.
Of course.
But it was fun. I mean, there was a lot of crap that you had to deal with, but we still had a good time, and we got free movies, so you can't beat that.
Now, I've heard all of your stories before.
Yeah.
I mean, for the listeners here, you want to give us one or two about the crazy stuff that may have happened to you on your shifts?
Yeah, I guess I'll name some things because I want to make Will feel better, and I don't want Will to think he was the only one that worked at a crappy place.
Yeah.
Or,
Will, it gets better. You got to enjoy the crappy moments of your childhood, and your not childhood, but your youth.
You'll look back on it fondly one day, like I am now. But I'll be lying if I said that, like, when movies like Harry Potter came out, it wasn't a soul-sucking hellhole. Harry Potter, like Star
Wars releases,
like
of
a
course.
bunch of those gigantic movies
Where people are dressed up and they take it so seriously that it's the world to
Dude,
them.
that was anything but fun. Especially, I have a good story about this. So I vividly remember I was watching Star Wars Episode 3. I had got off of work. I was a manager there, so I wore a suit. And I guess you don't wear a suit to the movies, right? But you had to wear it for work. So I got off early that night of the midnight release to watch Star Wars Episode 3, one of the most anticipated movies up until that time. And I was sitting in a theater. And there was a problem with one of the reels of film. It was right when Sam Jackson's character was in trouble. If you remember this movie, it was about to, whatever happened. I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Oh, please.
But you know what I mean. So anyway, I just vividly remember this. Like, the screen started turning red. So there was a problem with one of the reels of film.
Yeah.
And I ran out of the theater to go tell somebody. And I was worried that, somebody was going to have a bad experience, right? Because I cared. And I was running down the hall, and this guy, he must have been like my dad's age. He's probably in his 50s. Started chasing me down the hall. Like, it was like Terminator style, dude. Like, he was running down the hall at me, and I just kind of like kept walking a little faster. I wasn't sure if he was running to go to the bathroom or he was running at me. Next thing you know, he just starts yelling, hey. And he starts yelling at me, and he's like, do you work here? And I was like, yeah. And then he just starts running at me, and he got in my face and started yelling at me like, do you know how long I've been waiting for this? And I was like, I'm sorry. And I like went behind the door that you had to type the code in, you know, and I like slammed the door and ran upstairs. I was like, dude, I'm going to try to fix this for you. And he like freaked out. I thought the guy was going to murder me.
People take their movies really seriously.
There's a couple other.
Tell us about the House of Wax incident. I've heard the House of Wax incident.
So there was the way the movie theater's set up is there's a very long hallway with a whole bunch of theaters at the end. And I just remember one night, someone came up to me and said, excuse me, I think something happened to somebody in the back of the theater. I'm like, oh my God, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? What something happened.
A lot of things could happen.
It's like, well, so I think somebody's like not alive. I'm like, what? Like, are they dead? So again, I know I mentioned it before, friend Jeremy, listener to the podcast, I said, dude, he worked there too. Can you please come back here with me just in case something's up?
In case the shit goes down.
Yeah. So we walked back to the theater, and I just remember walking back all the way through the hallway. I'm like, what the hell do you think's wrong back there? And we open the door, and we go in, and there's like a row of people.
Yeah.
And they were, so mind you, this is House of Wax, so it's like a horror movie. And I'm not scared by this stuff, but it was a little creepy when you see like 5 people.
Yeah.
Including 2 young children, completely passed out like halfway up the theater, the only people left in the theater. And I didn't know if this was like some sort of suicide pact or some crazy like thing, and you see them sitting there and it's like, what? So Jerem and me walk up to them and we try to wake them up and they didn't move. Nothing happened. We started yelling. We're like, hey, wake up. And he taps like their leg. They're not moving. Long story short, we thought they were dead. I mean, I was like, all right, now I'm seeing my first dead body in a House of Wax in the back of a movie theater. This is probably crazy.
Get your latex gloves on.
Yeah.
Right?
So we go up to the front, call the cops. Cops come and they wake the people up with smelling salts. I think they had like drank themselves into a stupor and just passed out. And they looked like teenage parents. It looked like somebody you would see on Teenage Mom.
The type of people to bring their kids to House of Wax.
It was a
starring Alicia Cuthbert.
But that's a good one. And the last one that I'll talk about is I'm sure people have customers that they know, like the guy that's the usual.
Yeah.
So there was this guy that used to come and ask for something. He was known by the name of what he asked for. And he always wanted the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know it, he was pissed at you.
He got mad at you because he's a big deal.
Yeah,
right?
He's kind of a big deal. So he would come in every Sunday morning and he would order the same thing. And he would just say, give me the usual. And you're supposed to know what the hell that means. And I'm talking like if you're a 16-year-old kid, first job out of high school, and in high school, and you're just standing there waiting.
So
give me the usual.
So if part of the usual is a Diet Coke and you give them a regular Coke,
oh, forget it.
It's getting thrown in your
All
face.
All hell's breaking loose,
getting thrown
man.
in your face.
You done effed up your job there. So long story short, the guy would feel pissed off because people would mess up his order because you just didn't know. What the hell are you supposed to know that for? So, Will, I feel you, man. I feel you. So what about you, man?
Certainly not soul crushing.
You worked at a different place.
I worked at a video store. Let's call it Blockbuster Video, for lack of a better word.
It doesn't exist anymore. You're allowed to talk about it.
Place doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if you've ever been. So I worked there, 3 locations over a couple different cities along the eastern Pennsylvania. The most memorable moment I had, I was still a CSR at the time. I was with the assistant manager. And these stores were open until 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday night. So we're sitting there. It's like 12:50, and this drunk couple comes in. And this is always terrible when the drunk couple comes in at 12:30 because you're thinking, oh, my God, they're going to take an hour to pick their movie. We can't really kick them out.
Get the hell out of
I just want to get the hell out of here. So they're just sitting there, and like I see them by the drama section in the middle. It's called the core, the older movies.
The core?
Yeah. So we got the comedy
is
section,
that
we got
like
the drama
a
section.
Blockbuster like
That's a term.
terminology?
Yeah, the core.
The core.
Go clean the core up, Kevin.
So you're supposed to know where that is.
Yeah. So they're in the comedy section, and then all of a sudden, I'm checking movies in or whatever I'm doing, and I look back, and they're nowhere. I don't see them anywhere. They're nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, their heads pop up, and then they walk to the front. They rent a movie. I forget what movie they rented, and they were acted very strangely. They're clearly drunk, and they were very odd. So that's it. We close the store. I go to clean the core. Go, Kevin, clean the core. We'll straighten the movies up.
Get on it, Kevin.
Somebody pissed in the comedy section.
Oh, man.
And we damn well know who pissed in the comedy section. It was drunk asshole number 1 and drunk number 2. So,
oh my God.
Luckily, we were forbode from cleaning up bodily fluids in this job. So we had to call like the hazmat, whatever.
Biohazard
people.
Did they come in the Ebola suit? Like, were they wearing full-on gear?
No, it was just some guy. That's his job.
He had latex gloves, and that's it.
So I had to sit there till 3 o'clock because some asshole pissed in the comedy section. How appropriate the comedy section. And to talk about regular customers, I had this one guy. Remember, I know his name. His name is Bay, B-E-Y, Bay. And I know his name because he gave me his phone number. This was a guy who was a regular. He had the movie pass. He was in every night, rented 2 movies, returned 2, get 2 more. Guy was a drug dealer. I know he was a drug dealer. I never asked for drugs. He never told me he sold drugs. But like there was this spoken connection that he was selling drugs.
So he's alleged.
Yeah. He gave me his card. He had a card. And he's basically said, here's my number. Call me if you need anything.
You know what that means?
The way he said it, call me if you need anything.
Did he wink at you?
There was no wink. He had he looked kind of Amish, but not really. He had like these shitlocks kind of thing. Like, trying to think of like if you saw the video for Andy Samberg's Rastafarian Man.
Oh, yeah.
Ross Trent. Like that's what the guy looked like.
Did he look like John Travolta from Battlefield Earth?
Yes, that's exactly who he looked like. So I'll always remember Bay. I had his phone number in my phone, even though I never wanted his drugs or needed his drugs. I had it in my phone. I don't know why I programmed it in there, just in case.
Just in case the shit went down and you needed something.
Yeah. And then another thing, and this is kind of messed up, but there was always there was a bathroom in the back for employees only.
Yeah.
And people always wanted to use that bathroom. And you had to get a key to use the bathroom. And anytime somebody asked me if there was a bathroom in the building, I would say no, because I didn't feel like walking them to the bathroom. And if they made a mess in the bathroom, then I'd have to sit there and do the whole piss in the comedy section.
You got to call the guy.
I got to call the guy and be there for another 5 hours. So I would always say no. I feel bad, but at the same time, like, you know what? Screw these people. You know what? Go home and go to the bathroom.
You know what's funny about, think about high school and stuff and hall pass keys and all this stuff. Do you remember like if they you go to a gas station and they give you like the block of wood with the key on it and all that stuff. Yeah. So I had a teacher in high school. I won't name him, but he was hilarious and really cool guy. And he taught technology stuff. And I remember, I don't know if it was a running joke because no one actually did it that I know of, but he used to get pissed because people would try to ask to go to the bathroom and just goof off all the time. So he made the hall pass an old CRT monitor. So if you had to go to the bathroom, you had to carry this like 17-inch CRT monitor, like with the cable on it and stuff.
You better have to go.
I don't know of anyone that actually used it because it's like, people were goofing off and all that stuff, but it was really funny. Just the idea of doing that. So anyway,
so it's good times. I mean, you got to laugh at these things, and sometimes it's a shitty job, but hopefully there's better things to come down the road. If you look back at the time and you know what, it was a simpler time.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad.
And that's the thing. I don't know if Will still works there,
Yeah.
but Will, I want to tell you, just enjoy it because it actually is fun. You won't realize it until you're done.
You get your soul sucked in other places too, man.
Yeah.
the movie biz isn't as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. You can get your soul sucked behind the movie theater if you really want to. So,
that might cost you $5. Cost you $5.
Anyway,
next question.
You guys seem to like all these movies that didn't do well. Are there any movies that you don't like? This one comes to us from Michelle from upstairs.
the Last Wife.
Michelle from upstairs.
So yeah, this is literally was a question from The Last Wife.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I find it hard for us to dislike any movie. I mean, generally, it takes a pretty bad movie for me to not, at least at some point, enjoy it, or somehow. We always joke about we find the silver linings.
Yeah.
But I tend to enjoy most movies that I watch.
Yeah, me too. So I'm a pushover, very easy critic. I'll give everything 5 stars, you know?
Yeah. I think this brings us back to talking about my parents' basement and just watching movies and all that kind of stuff back in the day. A good friend of ours, Julio, we used to watch bad movies kind of on purpose. And we still liked them, you know?
Yeah, sure.
It started, I remember us sitting in Blockbuster for like forever trying to rent this movie. And we finally settled on The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever seen that, it's not very good. But we kind of thought that it would be good because it's Johnny Depp. I mean, he doesn't make bad movies, right?
Well, yeah, say that now.
Yeah.
Back then,
it wasn't very good.
He was respected back then.
It just reminded me of something that would be on like Prometheus Entertainment on History Channel.
Right. Yeah, there's that. There's Session 9, which is can't even describe it. It's just ridiculous. It's like some kind of ghost telepathy
They were like
movie.
remodeling. Yeah. They were remodeling like a psych ward at a place, and they went crazy.
So U-571, which is one of the battleship movie.
Yeah.
Ghost Ship, which is a horror movie. It was a ship that was a ghost. How could you go wrong? It's a ghost ship.
A ghost ship.
Yeah.
We kind of like sought these out after a while. It's like, all right, we kind of made it a thing. It was like Bad Movie Wednesday. So we went and actually watched it. You know, we did it on purpose. Like, can we outdo ourselves?
Right. And then we right at the core with our partner in crime, Julio.
Oh, yeah. Two Faces in that one.
Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah. And so that was renowned for Drew and I fell asleep, and Julio was like glued to it. He loved it.
I bet he still defends it to this day.
Probably does.
I'll have to ask him if he still likes it.
So
but I think that's a terrible movie.
So give me a movie that you can't stand. Like answer the lady's question.
I vividly remember, and actually this is with Julio too. We watched this in the theater at the movie theater that we used to work at. Wolf Creek. That was it's a little unknown horror movie that kind of came out, and it was back during the time in the early 2000s when every horror movie was all the same.
They were like backwoods types of...
Yeah, they were like in either Joshua Tree or someplace in Australia. Yeah, it was Australia.
Yeah.
They were just backpackers.
Yeah.
And they just got lost. And it was the entire movie was them like they were lost.
The entire movie was they're lost.
And then like the last 10 minutes, some guy like messes with them and everyone dies. That was like one of the first movies that I ever wanted to walk out on.
Yeah,
and it
boring.
was just terrible. It was so bad. We almost did walk out on that one.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible. And like the show Lost did just people being lost for 5 seasons better than Wolf Creek did people getting lost for 2 hours.
What about you?
I remember specifically when I first was a customer at Blockbuster when the DVD was new. I got the DVD pass.
Yeah,
you rented one movie every day for 30 days.
It's a great deal,
right? One of the movies I rented was Get Carter. It was like this guy was a debt collector, Sylvester Stallone, or like he would just come and pound your face in if you didn't pay up your bets. One of those guys. And I was very excited to see it, but it was always out. They only had one copy and it was always out. Always out, always out. So the anticipation built. Then finally, one of the last days of my pass before it ran out, it was finally available. Random. Put it in. Biggest piece of shit Sylvester Stallone ever did. And he's put together a lot of pieces of shit.
You know, I always mix that movie up with Coach Carter.
I
don't know why. Like,
Coach Carter's a good one.
I just assume that it's the same.
Sam L. Jackson, coach of the kids.
Do you remember the time? So again, at the place that I worked at, we got to watch free movies sometimes. Yeah. I remember watching Lady in the Water.
I was there.
And it was at the point where I was just over M. Night Shyamalan by this point, but I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. It's free.
Yeah.
And you and me were watching it. And like we were so close to walking out. Yeah. That movie was... I'm sorry to say it's a steaming pile of shit.
I was squirting in my seat. Like I was like visibly like throwing my hands in the air. Like, what are they doing with this movie right now?
I'm sure someone out there likes it, and I'm sorry to insult the movie that you like, but I just could not stand that movie. And that was by the point where he became so self-indulgent. He made himself like a main character.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he's not a good actor either.
Yeah, he's terrible.
I would go as far to say that this man is a hack.
He's a hack?
Yeah.
A hack.
No, he made some good movies, but I feel like, you know, he kind of stumbled upon them.
I'll give him Sixth Sense and Unbreakable.
Sixth Sense was a great movie. Unbreakable was good.
After that, it was,
The Village, man. And, you know, The Happening, we call it The Crappening.
Lastly, one of the movies I've seen more recently, The Fourth Kind.
Yeah. It
was horrible, terrible movie for like the first 92 minutes, but then the last like 5 minutes scared the shit out of me. I wish I would have walked away, would have turned it off. I wish I would have stopped watching it.
I'm not a fan of the whole like demonic possession, alien. I think
it was like
alien
possession thing.
I don't know if I would watch that courageously.
But that's another movie where if you want to torture yourself for 90 minutes on a shitty movie, but then get the piss scared out of you in the last 5, go watch The Fourth Kind. Now, what about overrated movies? Movies that are good, we'll even admit they're good, but they get way more credit than they probably should.
All right. So we're probably going to piss off a lot of people with this category.
I got a big
here. You go first.
I have a big one.
Go ahead.
I've never watched any of the Godfathers.
Really?
Out of spite.
I think they're good films, okay? But I wonder if what you're saying is maybe they don't hold up.
Well, I've never seen a reel of any of these movies because I had some childhood friends that would get on me all the time. You gotta watch Godfather. Oh my God, I can't believe you never saw Godfather. What, you don't like mafia movies? Yes, I like mafia movies. Yes, I like Sopranos.
I would think it's up your alley because you like those kind of movies.
Yeah, probably. You sound like one of those guys.
Yeah, here we are. You should watch Godfather.
Maybe I'll watch it. I'll watch it on my 50th birthday if I make it there. If I make it to 50, I'll watch it.
Watch it. I'm going to hold you to this, you know? We're going to be old man at 50.
Suicide at 49, my friend. Yeah. I'll never watch it.
You're not going to watch it? Yeah. I'm sure people are going to write in and tell you need to watch that.
So, overrated. I don't care if it's the best movie of all time. I'll say overrated, but it's ignorant because I never saw it.
What if it's your favorite movie of all time? You just never saw it.
Then good for me. I got that one in the bank then.
I think you need to watch that.
That's a good thing.
You should go watch it.
Another one I got would probably piss off some of the space movie fans.
Yeah.
I don't like space.
So space movies.
So this was in the summer of Star Wars Episode 3, which you say was like one of the biggest theatrical releases of all time.
At the time, it was very, very highly anticipated.
So I had just started this new job. It was like my first 8 to 5 job. Yeah. So I had to get up early every morning. And you guys worked in the theater. It was a summer. And you got to see a special 3-day previous screening of Star Wars Episode 3, which any kind of Star Wars geek would have killed to be in my position, right?
Oh, yeah. It was 3 days before this movie came out.
I was very honored and lucky to have this seat to see this movie. But the problem is it started at midnight.
Probably later.
12:30.
It might have been 12:30.
And I had to go to work the next morning. But you know what? I'm going to go. I love movies. I'm going to go. I don't like a lot of Star Wars movies, but I'll go anyway. 20 minutes in, I'm out.
He was snoring next to me, by the way. He was snoring. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you're asleep. Like this movie. And I'm not to say, I'm not going to give you how I feel about the prequels. I mean, I know people are very passionate for or against them. I think they were entertaining movies. You know what I mean?
I got a problem with all of them. So I'm just not a fan of space movies. Don't give me.
He was out cold. Wars. Let me tell you, he was out cold.
Yeah, so,
and it blew my mind.
I think Star Wars gets too much hype. So before I go any further, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, and I really let me preface this.
This sounds like a caveat.
Let me caveat this that I actually really enjoy this movie. I think it's one of the better movies out there.
Yeah.
I actually really love The Avengers. Yes. I think it's a great movie.
Right.
But it's like a 99 whatever the hell it is on Rotten Tomatoes.
Everybody loves it. Everybody reviewed it well.
I think it's really good, but I don't think it's any better than the movies that lead up to it. I almost think they're better. I kind of prefer the individual lead up, the individual films, because I like that they can focus on the characters. But I think maybe the ultimate and why it gets the critical acclaim is it's one of the first movies that I think it did really well, where it kind of took a million characters and put them into the screen without making it ridiculous and we have too many people, we're going to just go scatterbrain throughout the movie. I thought it did a really good job of kind of screen time for each character, but at the same time, I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time like people proclaim it. I did enjoy it. And I think we talked a little bit about this too. Kids movies, you know, the Disney movies.
Specifically Pixar, right?
Yeah, and I think they're all great. Don't get me wrong.
They are.
Again, we're not trying to be negative, but the question is what don't you like or
this
whatever.
is all relative to being overrated.
I really enjoy these films, but I think, you know, again, working at the theater back in the day, it's one of those things where, you know, I can look at it and say, there's maybe 1 or 2 kids movies that comes out every week, and you know damn well that what's going to happen with that is they're going to focus on, hey, parents that don't want to spend time with their kids, hey, I'm going to go take them to this movie. It's a real easy thing to do, you know? And there's some other ones too. I mean, obviously people want to go to the movies with their kids, but it's an easy thing. Hey, I don't know what to do today. Let's go to the movies. Yeah. So they go to the movies, and it's going to make a lot of money. It could be the shittiest
Doesn't
movie ever.
matter what it is, yeah.
But it's going to make a lot of money.
I agree with you. I agree with you with the Avengers thing. I mean, I'm not a comic book fan myself. I enjoy the Batman movies. I enjoy Spider-Man movies.
I loved Avengers. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
I fell asleep during Avengers myself, but I also fell asleep during Man of Steel. So it's not a DC versus Marvel thing. I fall asleep.
I remember that was the loudest movie we've ever watched too. It was turned up to like 11 for Man of Steel.
I'm an old man when it comes to the movie theater. I need to watch it at home. Anyway, let's move on to the next.
So the next question comes to us from Erica. Erica with a C, not a K.
That's important.
As if there's a difference.
We have to know that difference.
So Erica says, your movie selection has been mostly comedies and action movies. Did you ever consider getting in touch with your emotional side and enjoying a good cry during a movie?
Oh,
I think we kind of tried to do that with She's All That, but it's not really a cry it out movie.
No, that's a comedy. I'll go confession time right now.
Yeah.
I cry at movies.
Yeah,
I shed tears. Now, this didn't happen until like the last 3 or 4 years. 3, 4, 5 years.
Now that you've gotten older?
I've gotten a little older in my days. I've gotten more introspective. I kind of feel for some of these characters. So,
is there such thing as a movie that's designed to make you cry? Like they're making this movie, they're like, what can we put in that's going to be the ultimate tearjerker? Or what can we make that's going to make people bawl their eyes out?
Well, I'm sure there is. I mean, these movies like
The Fault in Our Stars.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Not cry?
I mean,
during that movie?
You got to cry.
What are you supposed to do?
You got to cry.
Yeah. And the first one that on this list here that is very much designed to make you cry is Big Fish.
I love that movie.
This movie is scientifically engineered to pull tears out of Ned's ducts about losing their father.
I remember watching, so I saw that in the theater and I loved it, right? Yeah. But I remember watching you and Michelle watch that movie. It was like a couple years ago at the apartment we used to live at.
I never saw it before.
And the credits rolled and it was just silence.
We were watching it in the dark, which helped.
A good 2 minutes.
I was incognito.
And I looked over at you and I saw the single tear.
Yeah. And it's like, did you like it? I was like, yeah, it was good.
I was getting a little dusty myself. I have to admit, I got a little dusty myself.
Yeah.
What else made you go? I mean, is there anything else that made you tear up?
On this one as well. I watched Boyhood.
Yes.
And I don't know why I was crying during Boyhood, but I teared up a little bit during Boyhood.
No, it's because it makes you think.
Yeah.
It makes you think about growing up and your family.
And not even during an emotional scene. Like, there was just some times where I was just looking at the kid. I was like, I don't know, maybe thought of myself, thought of my life, you know?
Yeah, like you thought about growing up.
My future kids, maybe. Who knows?
Well, you know what? And I don't want to circle back on the last question.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I think Boyhood was an excellent movie.
Sure.
But I also think that it could be overrated.
It's had overrated for what it was.
Because
12 years in the making.
It's kind of the idea of it and the way that it worked is slightly overrated. But I loved it. Don't get me wrong.
Still a triumph. Sure.
But I think you could add it to that list.
Sure.
It does deserve the 100%. Maybe it does. But I think it could add it to that list.
Anything else?
Yeah, I got a good one. I actually teared up. And it was, this is embarrassing, but I'll admit it, man.
I know what you're going to say.
I was watching Dark Knight Rises, and I knew you were going to laugh at me. But
you're going to cry because you thought Batman was dead.
I thought Batman died, man. I thought Batman died. You can make fun of me all you want.
That is awesome.
Now, tell me if you watched that movie and you weren't sitting there watching Alfred at the grave, and he's standing there and he's like, oh, Master Wayne.
There's no way Batman was dead.
Now, come on, man. I thought he flew that nuke out of the city and went with it.
Man.
I didn't think he fixed the autopilot system.
It would have been a better ending had he been dead.
I got a couple others here. I mean, Saving Private Ryan. I mean, that gets you a little dusty.
Sure. You have to.
A good one is I remember watching Little Giants a couple weeks ago when we did the episode. I remember Michelle, and she's gonna get mad at me for calling her out, but it was funny because I think the part where was it Tad?
It was a Tad, yeah.
Or the one kid whose dad, or Johnny. Yeah, the kid whose dad is always on the Christmas or the trips, business trips. He ran and scored a touchdown, and he ran to his dad. And I think that Michelle got very emotional at that. She was feeling very emotional at that. Do you have any others?
The big one for me is Field of Dreams.
Yeah,
I mean everybody cries. All the guys cry at that movie. We always had a catch with their dad. Every time where he goes, hey, how about a little catch? It's like, I know it's coming. I've seen it 20 times.
Yeah.
I know the line's coming, but here comes just waterworks. That's hard crying because that's it gets you inside of that relationship. That one, and also speaking of kids movies, Toy Story 3. You've never seen Toy Story 3? Toy Story 3 is a hell of a movie.
I know I need to watch it.
It is an emotional roller coaster that makes you reflect upon your entire childhood.
Is it like Boyhood? Like it gets you thinking about growing up?
You will cry during that movie. You will.
See, here's the thing. I can't believe that we have a movie podcast and I haven't watched some of these movies. Yeah. I feel like I'm cheating.
And also Pixar, I mean, they're good at this. Up's another one. You will shed a tear during Up. You can't help it. Next question, Drew.
So the next question comes from Bruce. How fitting after we just talked about The Dark Knight. Is it Bruce Wayne from Gotham?
It's Bruce from Gotham? Is that where he's from?
So Bruce, wherever you're from, thank you for writing in. Bruce says, with the Oscars coming up, what movie did not get nominated that you think should have, and what were your favorites? Excuse me. I'll go through this quick. We don't need to spend a lot of time, but I think the Lego movie definitely got robbed. I really enjoyed the Lego movie. I thought it was a great movie.
Joyous.
It was awesome. The animation was amazing. Is How to Train Your Dragon 2? That's a nominee, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
I saw the first one. It's not that bad.
It's not a bad movie. I'm not saying it is, but it's a sequel.
I didn't think it was an epic or anything.
The Lego movie seemed to be really, really like original.
Yeah, the best movie I saw this year is probably Nightcrawler.
That's on my list.
Yeah, I thought Gyllenhaal was spectacular in that. Yeah. He was a psychopath, and he really threw himself into the role.
Yeah,
it got some Oscar buzz, but it didn't get nominated. But I really feel that should have been at least on the list.
I liked Interstellar a lot. I know that's kind of controversial. A lot of people didn't like it. They thought it was too big. Yeah. But I thought visually it was amazing.
Right. It can't be beat visually. And it did get some buzz for, at least in the picture, when it was new. But it kind of got dropped out.
It was a really cool story, too. Yeah. And someone who I thought got completely robbed for Best Actor.
Yes.
Best male lead or whatever they say. I totally think Keanu Reeves got robbed from John Wick.
You love you some John Wick.
Dude, John Wick, I got to tell you, I don't mean that seriously that he should have got nominated, but I love that movie.
I think he made it a little bit.
If you haven't seen that movie, you need to watch it. If you're a fan of this show and the movies that we've watched, you should watch John Wick immediately. Yeah, Turn this off and watch it.
I think we need to do an emergency podcast on John Wick in the near future because it really was a kick-ass movie.
It was so good. If we want to do good/good movies or whatever the person that wrote in said,
that's a good/good
movie.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Just a couple of movies. I know they're not best picture type movies, but they're movies that I really enjoyed in the past year. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. We saw that together. That was really good. Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat with Tom Cruise. That was another excellent movie. The Equalizer with Denzel. Just it's basically
that's a fun movie.
It's Liam Neeson's.
Yeah,
it's Liam Neeson's. It's a movie Liam Neeson probably turned down. I just threw Denzel in there as a replacement.
You know something about The Equalizer? I didn't feel like it was too long until I watched John Wick. Yeah. Like I felt like John Wick was more to the point.
More action.
And I still loved them both. Don't get me wrong.
They're similar types of movies. John Wick definitely more to the point.
And we're not saying that these movies should have won Oscars. These are just movies that we really enjoyed over the past year or so.
And during Oscar season, let's talk about like a couple of Oscar movies that talk about overrated movies flat out didn't deserve to win the Oscar. I'm gonna rail. I railed about The Godfather and I never saw it. I'm going to rail about another movie that I never saw, and it's The Artist.
The Fartist?
The Fartist.
Isn't there like a parody of that called The Fartist?
There has to be.
I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix.
Yeah. So this movie, and I called it during the Oscars that this freaking movie was going to win everything. Because,
so you've never seen it, right?
No. I knew it was going to win everything just because it's a silent movie.
It had the gimmick.
It's black and white. It's got to win because they're doing something different.
Yeah.
Anytime we talk about Oscar bait, anytime you do this type of thing with a movie, or you make a musical, you blow it out, or you talk about a historical figure like Lincoln, it's like it's made to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump's another one. Forrest Gump was another very controversial win.
I don't believe it though.
See, there was the whole triad of Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption. What do you say?
Listen, I love Pulp Fiction. Don't get me wrong; it's one of my favorite movies I've watched. But it doesn't compute when you're talking about Forrest Gump and Shawshank. And I think it's an excellent movie. It's just it doesn't fit the Oscar mold. See, I'm being the Academy here.
Yeah. Forrest Gump's a great movie. We talked about what's the one movie you could watch for the rest of your life. I'm going to change my answer. Changing it to Shawshank Redemption.
No way.
Shawshank should have won the Oscar here and should be my one and only movie, Desert Island movie.
No, and I love that movie. Don't get me wrong. It's on A&E all the time. Acting, or whatever, AMC.
And the story and the setting in the prison. I love prison movies too.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I think the scope of Forrest Gump and what it tried to do, it's like, and the fact that special effects at the time, it just was over the top, and it had to win.
But it's not egregious as artists, because don't give me that bullshit about let's win the Oscar because it's a silent film.
How many people's list of number one hater are you going to be on tomorrow morning?
Oh, gee, I don't care. Artist fans, bring it on, please. And yes, I know I'm being ignorant. I haven't seen the movie. Not gonna start.
You love John Wick and you hate The Artist? I can't believe you.
Another popular one I have here is Argo. Now, Argo won Best Picture over juggernauts such as Django Unchained, Les Miserables,
I've never seen Argo, so I can't comment on this.
Life of Pi, Lincoln, Silver Linings Playbook, and Zero Dark 30. I think Argo's a very overrated movie. Talk about overrated. It's just, I don't know, if they make a fake movie to try to get people out of the building. It's just, I don't care. I don't care. It was a good movie. It was okay.
And you really liked it. You liked it a lot.
Yeah. Django Unchained was spectacular. Life of Pi was visually stunning.
You're just a Tarantino fanboy.
Silver Linings
right?
Playbook was a joyous romp.
I love Silver Linings Playbook. Can I say that?
People out of this building. What?
Can I say I love Silver Linings?
Oh,
I love that movie.
Fantastic.
And
movie.
I thought Hurt Locker was better than Zero Dark 30. I think Zero Dark 30 got nominated because of the subject matter.
I agree. Hurt Locker over Zero Dark.
I still enjoyed Zero Dark 30, but I just thought like the lead up was, it's like maybe because you know what's going to happen, like they're going to get him.
Why do you hate Catherine Bigelow?
He's leaning in on the table here, by the way. He's leaning in. I don't dislike her at all. I just think
Are you afraid of the female behind the lens?
No, I think that Hurt Locker was better than Zero Dark 30.
I know.
I just think Zero Dark 30, like the subject matter elevated it to where it was. And it was still a great movie, don't get me wrong. It was epic, but it just felt like so long.
I get you.
Hurt Locker was a little more action-packed.
I feel you.
So anyway, not to cut this short, but let's move on to the next question. And we'll go through these pretty quick because I know we're running out of time. The next one comes from Tony, who signs his name Tony, unfortunately not Almeida.
I want to be friends with Tony here.
Yeah, Tony, friend us on Facebook here. I love that he signed his name that way. But he says, I've been a listener since you guys did Bauer Hour and really enjoyed the reunion episode with Ty on the Ghostbusters. Since you're doing movies now, what are your thoughts on a 24 movie?
Well, of course I'm all for it. Of course I'm all for it. But I'd rather have another season. Yeah. Season that's made to be a TV season.
Live Another Day was excellent.
If they're going to make it a movie, they should probably kill Jack Bauer at the end of it. You think? I mean, that's the only move you can make there.
Yeah. I think they'll always leave it ambiguously. They'll either kill him or leave it up to debate. But
yeah, I guess you could blow him up and not show him.
I think from here on out, they're not going to let him live a happy life.
Yeah. He's tortured.
Anyway, so moving on to the next question. I know we got to go through these a little quicker. This one comes from Eli, who says, guys, what the hell is the Golden Closet? You mention it in every episode. Are they a sponsor for you guys?
So I want to thank Eli Roth for
You're just going to call him Eli Roth.
signing in.
Eli Roth.
Well, it's either Roth or Manning.
It could be Eli. I'm going to say it's Eli Manning.
Yeah. So they are not a sponsor of us. Let's get this clear right now. We need to make that clear. They don't pay us. They don't ask us to do anything. They've never met us. We email them. They coldly do not respond.
We were going to set up an interview with them, and I'm still hoping to do it because I think they're a really cool website.
Yeah. So the website is basically, well, we mention this in almost every one of our episodes. We'd like to have some of the props that are in these movies. Like, for example, the last episode we did was She's All That. We wanted a lady's wig.
Freddie Prinze Jr.'s varsity jacket.
Yeah, we wanted his varsity jacket. These are the type of items that you can get on thegoldencloset.com. Not specifically them, but if you want to have a very prestigious item from a movie, you go on thegoldencloset.com, more than likely they're going to have something for you. Like a lot of Batman memorabilia, a lot of 24 memorabilia, a lot of just random action movies. Anything you search for, they got it there.
I pulled out a couple of items of note. If you're a fan of Batman, the Val Kilmer movies, you can get Chris O'Donnell's Robin symbol. It's $1,500. You can get the
$1,500.
Do you think that's overpriced?
A little bit.
But I'll tell you what's accurately priced, okay?
Yeah.
And you pointed this one out to me. Escape from LA production book with script. $250.
I would get that.
If you're a fan of that movie,
if I love that movie, I would buy that. No doubt about it. See, it's just that we're very fascinated with this memorabilia.
Yeah, the industry, acquiring it. How do they get it?
We want to know more, so we're trying to get these people on a show here to do maybe a little 5-minute interview. So we'll see what happens down the road.
And I know other people have written in and asked us this. People on Twitter have asked us to, could you get them on there? Because people know what the website is. There's a bunch of other websites out there that do that, but we found them back in the Bauer Hour days, and I just really am a fan of the website.
I think it's the best name. It's the best name.
Because it's cool. It makes a good name. It's a good brand. So I think they're a great website. I think they have a lot of cool stuff out there. So if you're in the market for memorabilia, again, we are not sponsored by them, but just head on out.
We wish we were sponsored.
Let them know let them know that we sent you.
Yeah.
If you're looking to make a purchase, let them know that we directed you guys there. Maybe we can get them on the show. We have a nice interview. So anyway, let's get to the awards. I know that you put together a really good list of awards, and we talked about this in the beginning. We're going to wrap the show up with this.
So I put together some categories here. These are the 2015 Oscars. They have Lifetime Achievement Award. Sometimes a couple of them get cut for time constraints. So we have the official list here. You see that envelope?
You got that paper. He's unsealed the envelope.
So I've got my hands on the nominees and the winners. And I'm going to see if you can pick the winners here. We got 4 categories. You have no prior knowledge of these categories.
I do not. That envelope was sealed.
So, Drew, let me ask you the first category. Best Tom Cruise sprint in a movie, all time. Lifetime achievement.
Are we talking about like the supercut of him running?
Yes.
All right.
And the nominees are Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, the dust storm scene.
Oh, he was running away from that dust storm pretty hard.
Nominee 2, Jerry Maguire, 2-parter, both running to the game to see Cuba Gooding Jr. when he was late, and then running away to the airport to meet Renee Zellweger.
Oh my God.
And number 3, Collateral, the entire movie where he runs like he's the T-freaking 1000.
Hey, he's got the silver hair.
He's got the
favorite.
silver hair. He's got the suit. He's like the T-1000 in that movie. He's running this entire movie.
He's wearing also the Pee Wee Herman suit without the red bow tie.
It's a Pee Wee Herman.
He has a Pee Wee Herman, like it's the gray, like herringbone suit. I'm going with the dust storm.
You're going with the dust storm?
Yeah, dust storm.
The award goes to Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
correct.
All right.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right.
1 for 1.
I'm going with that one.
Category 2.
All right.
Best Jean-Claude Van Damme split ever.
Oh, man.
Best split lifetime achievement. Nominee 1, Bloodsport. Meditating at the highest building of Hong Kong in preparation for the Kumite.
That's awesome.
One false move, one wind gust, and that guy's going over. All right?
If he has an itch to scratch, he's falling over, man.
Now, there's a lot of splits in that movie that deserve consideration. This is my favorite. Nominee 2, Double Impact. Jean-Claude Van Damme in yoga pants, thrusting his crotch in front of 10 women, and they're all loving it.
Did they make male yoga pants? I guess they do.
Oh, they did. Look it up. Nominee 3, Kickboxer. The drunken dancing scene where he's dancing with the 2 girls, and he just has to do the splits. He does 4 straight multiple splits, and the girls look like they have no idea what the hell's going on.
Listen, we hate the artist, and we love these movies.
Yes.
I can't. People are going to be so mad.
What do you say, sir?
I'm going with the meditating scene just based on the fact of the difficulty of meditating while you're like completely split in half.
Well, you're right. It is difficult. The winner? Double Impact! Thrusting with yoga pants in front of 10 women.
I can't be mad about that one. That's fair.
Please look that up on YouTube if you want to see something ridiculous. If you want to see him in yoga pants, thrusting his crotch at the women, go look that up.
We'll post it in the show notes.
Number 3. Best Nicolas Cage hairstyle ever in a movie.
This will be good.
This is a very prestigious award. Nominee 1, Con Air, where he looks like Chad Kroeger from Nickelback.
He really does. If they ever need to do a movie about Nickelback, they can cast Cameron Poe.
Yeah, Chad Kroeger made the song Hero. It's like, that's his hero right
Before
there.
he cut his hair.
Con Air, Nick Cage. Number 2, Ghost Rider, where he pulled the hair straight off of Clive Owen's head.
Yeah, that is straight up Clive Owen hair.
It's totally a wig. That's not his hair. That is not his hair. Number 3, Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's basically a wizard's rat nest.
It kind of looks like the Con Air hair, but not really.
But weathered.
It's like weathered and gray.
And magical.
Like he went and hung out like on the beach for like 3 weeks and didn't wash his hair. He's got like the sea salt in there. Oh, man. I hate to keep picking the first one, but...
Whoa.
Oh, you're not done.
Number 4.
Oh, my God. You're throwing me for a loop here.
Adaptation. Balding
that
afro.
Wins. That wins.
Balding red afro.
That's my vote. I'm voting for that
and
one.
The winner is...
I'm voting for balding afro. It was
Adaptation.
Yeah. It was
like, forget about it.
He was, you could see right through it, man, to the scalp. Now, let me ask you a question. Is that his real hair? Maybe that's his real hair.
What if that's his real hair? Like, nobody knows.
That
like,
is it.
It's a wig, it's a piece in every single movie he's done, but that's really Nick Cage's
his real hair.
I'll say yes. That's a good call by you. All right, final category.
Last question.
Lifetime achievement. Best action movie character name of all time. Now, we have 6 here.
This is going to be hard.
Steven Seagal. Mason Storm, Hard to Kill.
Dude, that's so strong.
2, Arnold Schwarzenegger as John Matrix in Commando. Number 3, Sylvester Stallone, Marion Cobra Cobretti from Cobra. Could have said Rambo.
It's like a play
Too
on
obvious.
words.
Yes. Number 4, Jean-Claude Van Damme again. Chance Boudreaux, Hard Target.
Great movie.
5, Nicolas Cage as Castor Troy in Face Off. Solid name. And number 6, Wesley Snipes as Simon Phoenix in Demolition Man.
That's not doing it for me.
He's not a hero, but it's such a great name.
Read him back real quick one more time.
Mason Storm, John Matrix, Marion Cobretti, Chance Boudreau, Castor Troy, Simon Phoenix.
I'm going Cobra.
You're going Cobretti.
Because I love the cover of that movie. It looks so 80s.
Best opening to a movie of any action movie. Love it. The winner is...
It's not going to be that one, I know. But that's my favorite.
Mason Storm, Steven Seagal. You should have known me better. You should have known me better. I'm going Seagal every time.
Seagal, yeah. You know, and I can't argue that. argue that.
And you heard it here, folks. Those are the snubbed Oscar cutting room floor awards. You may have seen the show on Sunday. That's what you missed. We had it here first.
Well, look, this has been a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys like this show.
I got to know you a little better. There's some of the stuff that I didn't even know about you.
We've known each other for like 20 years, and we still didn't know that. But you know, hopefully people enjoyed this show. Hopefully we didn't bore the shit out of them.
No, please. I mean, this is how do you know how to trust us as hosts if you don't know the inner workings of us?
We're gonna keep collecting some of these questions. We apologize in advance if we don't read them on the air. We try to crunch a lot into our movie shows. So we might do one of these in the future if we get some good feedback.
And don't get it twisted. We got like 12 total emails.
Yeah, we read all of them.
So we read almost all of them right now.
So I just want to say thank you for writing in, everybody that wrote in. And if you have some other feedback to leave us, you can hit us up at thelastrowpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at thelastrowpod. We're on Facebook, Google+. Leave us some comments on the SoundCloud player. We do have a voicemail. We didn't get any yet. I challenge everybody to leave us a voicemail.
Challenge him.
I challenge you. 415-779-LAST. 415-779-5278.
I'm going to voicemail you.
You're going to leave me a voicemail? I'll play it on the air.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week we'll have a new movie for you. We'll do a movie podcast. It's still undetermined. But until then, see you next time.
See you.